Yeah, lights on, game time, let's break it all down. From the spreads to the lines, who's up, who's down. We're crunching the numbers, calling the plays, talking all sports in a big time way. Yeah,
Spreadsheets
yeah.
Sports. Um, we're doing team rankings today, and we're gonna run down and see who's the worst, who's the best, who's some contenders right now. Um, should be pretty interesting just to see how it all unfolds. But I have prepared some different things for you guys. I also wanted to look at how the NFC and the AFC look ranking wise, and I also wanted to see basically who do we need to be looking out for, especially as you're coming up with the games this weekend. The games this weekend is going to be determined by who they're up against and whether or not they are a contender. Don't focus on your top 10 people so much and give them so much clout. Okay. Because in some scenarios they have some areas to be exposed. For example, when you look at the games from last week, um, the Eagles got exposed by the Giants, right? They found the areas. These are all professionals. Any given Sunday, this can happen. Then when you look at the Cowboys and the Cowboys and the Panthers game, the Cowboys got exploited. When you look at the Falcons and the Bills game, the Bills had a problem with defense and they got exploited. When you look at um, the other underdog game, but my point is, don't put so much clout in your star players and don't put so much clout in their ranking. Look at it for what it is, dissect it for what it is, and you will be fine. Okay? So let's dive in. Let's look at the rankings. Let's see who is who. If your team is not where you think they should be, then leave a comment. If they are where you think they should be, give me a like. If they're better than what you think, then leave a comment and tell me that you like that as well. Now, I will give you a full disclosure. As I've said in the past, for those that are new to the channel, I do not personally select these rankings. These rankings are based off of data points. Okay, these are algorithms that are selecting these particular rankings. So when you are looking at these rankings, always consider that. I'm trying to remain as objective as I possibly can. Okay, and the data allows me to do that. But um, if you're new to the channel, thank you for coming. I hope you enjoy. If you are returning, thank you for returning. And as always, if you like the content, please like, comment, share, or subscribe. But let's dive in and let's see what we got for the rankings. I also added a little piece in at the end where I'm talking about the slate review. And that way we can go over who I think is going to win or lose, and or at least where my mind is right now about who I think is going to win or lose and why. But I'll give you the full actual picks later on in the weekend. I just want to give you an idea of what I'm thinking about for right now. But let's dive in. Let's see what we got. So here's our list of 21 to 32. Okay, we'll start at the bottom. Um, Jets 32. There's nothing really to say about them. They just look horrible. They're dealing with some injuries. They don't have a win. It's not a whole lot to say about them. Titans, they just switched off their coach. So he's gone. One win. What do you expect? The Raiders, Geno, Pete Carroll look horrible. They haven't been able to turn that corner. They play the Raiders. I'm at the Chiefs this upcoming week. I just don't see things going better for them. Um, Dolphins, since Tyreek Hill's injury, they haven't looked that well. Cheney is trying to figure it out. Tua is having some problems in the locker room with getting people to respond to him. Browns, They lost their quarterback from a trade. Flacco was there just trying to help them to at least try to figure out something. You got Shadua sitting on the bench. They got this other guy, Gabriel, playing. Um, I don't see how the Browns turn it around. I mean, they only got one win. If they had like two or three, then I might be a little bit more optimistic for them. But they got something to build on for next year. The Saints, Spencer Rattler and Moore together. Rattler's actually putting together a decent performance, but he just can't figure out how to get any wins. Um, it's a tough spot for him because he seems to be a pretty decent quarterback and been pretty consistent, but good luck to him. Cardinals, Kyler Murray's out. Injury is really, really, really hurting them. Um, Giants, they're on the up and up. They're actually moving up the ranks. And let me go back to the Cardinals. The Cardinals, even with Kyler Murray being out, they still put up a pretty good performance last week, which is why they moved up in the rankings. Okay, so over to the far right, you see the word change, CHG. That's where they changed from the rankings. So as you see, the Cardinals actually moved up, which is a good thing. Same thing with the Giants. After that performance and beating the Eagles, they went up as well. Jackson Dart and Scatterboo together as a combo. The energy there, they're on the up and up. Ravens moved down three spots. Harbaugh's having a hard way to go. They got the injuries there. The D-line injuries came back, but Lamar's still out. He'll be back after their bye this week. There's nothing really to say a whole lot about them. They'll be back next week, and we'll see where they go from there. For the Bengals, Joe Flacco just went there to cover for Joe Burrow being out on an injury. The thing about Flacco is he's a really great utility player. He can always figure out a way to win. So I'm a little optimistic for the Bengals. They got two wins, you know what I mean? And with that being said, could they win some more? With Flacco, anything can happen. I'm not saying they can make a playoff run, right? But they can end the season respectfully. Um, Panthers, after that big win, I don't know if they are on cloud nine or if it's a real thing and they are solid. So I'm having some trouble with trying to gauge how they're going to win or lose this weekend. Minnesota Vikings went down went down a couple spaces in the rankings. Um, Injuries aren't really a problem. They're probably if I had to try to figure out like out of this group who I agree with or don't or disagree with, I would say it's the Giants. I think the Giants should be higher. But again, the data is the one doing this particular calculation of the ranking. But I would say that the Ravens should be higher. I like where the Bengals are. I like what the Panthers are. I would probably swap out the Giants with the Vikings. Everybody else pretty much can stay where they are. So the data did a pretty good job with that. Now there is going to be a point later on in the show where we're going to look at some rankings and it's going to blow your mind, and it's in the top 1 through 10. There are going to be definitely some you disagree with in 1 through 10, but in this list, I don't really have any issues with anything in this list. 11 to 20. In this 11 to 20, um, I would say I'll probably agree with most of it, but let's start at number 20. The 20 is the Texans. I mean, the Texans are moving up the list, and that's because their performance is getting better. CJ Stroud is figuring out how to get some productivity on the offensive side. Defense has always been good coming in. They don't have a whole lot of injuries. They got two wins, maybe on the verge of a third this weekend. Cowboys, I would say going down just one space, I would probably take them down a little bit more. Two wins, lost to the Panthers. And I'm not saying that the Cowboys are bad just because they lost to the Panthers. I'm saying that they're bad because they're bad, but they're not horrible. just to qualify things. Okay. But big game this weekend coming up for the Cowboys. The Cowboys and the Indians, or Cowboys and the Deadskins, Cowboys and the Commanders. Who will prevail? I don't know. Um, Bears, big win, big upset win over the Commanders. Caleb Williams, and they don't have a whole lot of injuries going on in the skill position. 3 wins. Commanders, 3 wins, and they just took a loss. And the Commanders are at number 17. Falcons, huge win, huge upset win, and they actually moved up, but they only moved up one space. I kind of disagree with that. I think they could have moved up a little bit more because that was huge to beat the Bills and pull off that upset in Buffalo. In Buffalo, don't forget that part. Patriots, 4 wins, looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. Drake May is looking like Tom Brady 2.0. Woo! Who doesn't want Drake May right now? I would trade Patrick Mahomes for Drake May. That's how good he looks to me. I just like how calculated he looks. Um, Jacksonville Jaguars went down went down 4 slots. That makes sense. They didn't have as good a performance as they did against the Chiefs. 49ers. The injuries is what's killing them. They can't they just the injuries are killing the 49ers. I mean, but the thing is the injuries are killing them performance wise, but they're still winning. Just think what happens when Brock Purdy gets back. Just think what happens when Kittle gets back. These things matter. And when the things turn around, it's going to be that much better. Chargers at number 12. That makes sense. But I would say don't go too heavy on the Chargers because they're dealing with injuries and they're dealing with the injuries at the running back position. And they got to get their run game going so that Herbert can flourish with the passing game. But I think the running game is what's really causing some of their challenges. But they got 4 wins, so you can't knock them for that. And then you got the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix, Sean Payton, the quarterback whisperer. Only 8 injuries on the skill position, 4 wins. Representing the AFC West, they're gonna make things real tough for the Chiefs. It's not gonna be tough for the. They're making it tough for the Chiefs, but at the same time, let's not forget the Chargers are there as well. AFC West is a dogfight right now, especially with the Chiefs like getting Rashee Rice back and all of the other stuff, and they looking a lot better. The Chiefs finally scoring. Like you're gonna have a dogfight between the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Chiefs to try to come out of the AFC West. The real fight is just to get that wild card weekend. I don't know who ends up like standing on business and like ends up taking control of AFC West. It's all over the place. But this is your 11 to 20. Brace yourself for the 1 through 10 because it's going to be some people in there not in some positions that you think. But I think that the data did a really good job with 11 to 20. Couple in there that I don't really agree with, but I understand where it's coming from and how it objectively calculated and quantified where that should end up, where those teams should end up being. But let's look at 1 through 10. All right, here's your 1 through 10. And with your 1 through 10, you got the Chiefs at number 10. Who would have ever thought they moved up 2 spots? I disagree with this one. I think they should be lower, only because they're getting better. They haven't been better. Okay. Um, Rashee Rice coming back this week is going to be interesting, especially with Hollywood Brown, Worthy, now Rashee Rice. That's a 3-way deep threat, right? Speed galore. Underneath that, you got Juju, Noah Gray, and the Mr. Consistent Travis Kelce. And if that ain't enough, you got Isaiah Pachenko, screens between the guards, outside of the tackle, and then Kareem Hart between the guards and getting first downs and sliding in for touchdowns. And if that is not enough, you got Mr. Patrick Showtime Mahomes that can turn it on at any given time and has really great accuracy and a good chemistry with his receivers. And if that ain't enough, you got Andy Reid on top of all of that, orchestrating all of it as a chess master. But that's not antiquated into the data for this particular rating. But I like it. They only got 3 wins at the end of the day. Like, you can't get too excited. They got 3 wins against all these other people that have 4. Now the Packers are kind of in the same scenario as the Chiefs, where like you got to subjectively like inject yourself to say that the Packers are looking good or better or dominant, but data says that not so much, and they got 3 wins. Okay, I remember one time at the beginning of the season, like week 2, week 3, analysts were putting the Packers at number 2 and number 1. Now look at them. And they just keep going down and down and down and down. I think that part of that was that they had the defense at the beginning of the season. They looked dominant. And even though the Eagles and the Bills were up there and everybody wanted to have them up there, they were still trying to sneak the Packers in. But at the same time, here we are. Packers have fallen down a little bit, but Jordan Love is looking good still. They got a little bit of injuries. But again, I go back to that 3 wins. I skipped over one. Pittsburgh Steelers, they played tonight against the Bengals. Um, Pittsburgh Steelers are impressive. I'm gonna tell you why they're impressive to me. They're impressive to me because I anticipated chaos and turmoil between Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers. Because Aaron Rodgers can be an insulting prick. He can be arrogant and make things harder than they need to be, right? But the thing about it is that they have figured it out and they worked it out and they're working through it. So, with that being said, I'm sold on the Steelers. They are now leading the AFC North with at 4-1. It's a big game for them tonight. Huge game for them tonight. They need to win this game so that they can solidify themselves and then they can kind of coast through the rest of the season and win. If they win tonight, they just have to win most of the games left. If they lose tonight and the Ravens come back with a vengeance after a bye and Lamar being healthy, Steelers may have a problem if they don't win a whole lot more games. So, with that being said, I definitely like the Steelers to play extra hard tonight. How do you deny Aaron Rodgers and how do you deny Metcalf? Metcalf is not just a consistent target. I was talking to somebody about that today. He's a consistent target and he's a big target. And think about how he was in the desert last year, right? Pretty much with Geno, couldn't get the ball to him. He wanted the ball. Geno just couldn't figure it out. And now he's with somebody that not only can figure it out, but likes to throw it to him. He's getting the ball 4 to 5 times, sometimes 6 times a game. So, and that's one of the bets for this for tonight is 5 receptions. But I like Metcalf as his target, among other targets, Joe New and some other people. But um, yeah, Pittsburgh Steelers, you better watch out for them. Don't take them for granted. And then you still got Mike Tomlin playing chess master like an Andy Reid, right? And then you still got the Pittsburgh defense playing tough like they do and being very, very physical. Steelers are hard to beat, man. Steelers are extra hard to beat. Then we got the Buffalo Bills at number 7, rightfully so. They deserve to have moved down the rank because they literally are a team in decline. I said this a couple shows ago. A couple shows ago, I was talking about how the Bills and the Ravens were so sparkly and shiny at week 1 that we neglected to evaluate their defense. We kind of gave them the benefit of the doubt that the other team scored so much because we were like, they playing another great team. In retrospect, if their defenses were any good, it would have been a lower scoring game. Over 40 for both teams means that there's a problem with defense. And now we'll remember that moving forward. Um, but they have a problem with defense. This is why I ended up choosing them to lose that game against the Falcons. And everybody called me stupid and crazy and a coon and sell out and all types of other stuff just for making a decision. Like, man, I just think that they're going to win. The data, I'm looking at the data. The data says they're going to win. And that's all I saw. But I didn't think it warranted it being called all types of derogatory things because I just was saying that the data said something. People are nuts. But they lost. I was right. They were wrong. As always, pretty much. Rams, I think the Rams are suspect. I think the Rams are suspect, especially with the injury right now with Puka Nakua possibly being out. That's going to be interesting for the Rams because, to be honest, that's really their offense. They're kind of like the Vikings. The Vikings are a Justin Jefferson show, and that's pretty much it. I'm still not impressed by the Vikings, but that's what the Rams are to me. They number 16 ranked wise. They got 4 wins. They only got 7 injuries at skill player positions. Like I really can't argue with them. They got a really good coach as well. I just don't. They don't do it for me emotionally. But as I tell y'all all the time, you got to take your emotions out and your ego, put it over here, and deal with what's in front of you. And what's in front of us is that the Rams have 4 wins. What's in front of us is that the Rams are playing productively. But what's also in front of us is that Puka Nakua may be out for a couple of games with that. I think it was his foot injury. So I think he's gonna be out for a while. But be conservative when making bets on for the Rams. Seahawks. Whew, Seahawks are looking good. 4 wins, hardly any injuries. And they're doing that with a subpar coach, if that makes it any better. And on top of that, they're doing that in a rebuilding year. So there's a lot to be impressed by with the Seahawks because of the fact that they literally stripped that team down to nothing. And now here they are on the rebuild and doing well and got 4 wins. They couldn't buy 4 wins last year with Geno. They were struggling last year, but here they are. Philadelphia Eagles. EAGLES frauds. They frauds. They frauds. They frauds. They suck. They got beat rightfully so. Um, they got to figure out a way to get AJ Brown in the game. Number one, Barkley. Get rid of Tush Push, and somebody need to have a conversation with Hurts. But here's the problem. Here is the problem. Those guaranteed contracts. I might do a show just on the guaranteed contract whole thing. And I want to do a time lap of when they got, I want to know production prior to the contract and guaranteed money, got the contract guaranteed money, and then now let's look at their performance. Lamar, hurt, not hurt, whatever. Burrow, hurt, here, not here, right? Jalen Hurts, he's on the field, but he ain't doing nothing but being light skinned. That's it, right? Um, then you got the guy in Cleveland, Sean Watkins. I think those guaranteed contracts were the worst thing they could have ever did, and these guys are case studies for that. NFL should not do that for anybody else moving forward. Wash your hands with these guys and be done with it. And keep it moving forward. But that's my opinion. I'm not saying it's a fact. But Eagles, not a lot of injuries, not using Saquon, not using Brown. Smith is getting some work. Brown drops it sometimes. There's chemistry problems. And those 4 wins ain't solid. Those 4 wins, I think, if they played any tough teams, I think that they really only got maybe 2 or 3 like the Chiefs. Because I'm comfortable saying the Chiefs are ass, right? Up until the last couple of games. Like, before the Ravens game, the Chiefs couldn't even score 20 points. 20, 2-0. They have to score 30 for me to be impressed against the Raiders. But here's the problem against the Raiders. They are rivals in our division. And they always play us tough, even when they lose every other game, they still play us tough. So we'll see how that goes. They're in Arrowhead, so maybe we can win that game. But next up is the Lions at number 3. I don't agree with that. I don't. I think that the Steelers should be actually at number 3. I don't think that the Steelers should be below the Packers. Now after seeing the Bills play, the Rams, the Seahawks, or the Eagles, or the Lions, I think it should be. I think the Steelers should be in number 3 slot. They are playing that well, and maybe Chiefs are 4 or 5 when you look at this list of who could beat who. Um, Detroit Lions, disappointment and a lot of injuries in the skill position, but they got 4 wins and they can run up the score, but they got problems with defense, just like the Bills and the Ravens. They got to show me something better. And they got all of the weapons, running game, passing game, quarterback, everything but defense, everything. And they play the catch me if you can game, but it is what it is. Number 2, Tampa Bay Bucks. Cannons are going off every weekend. Baker Mayfield looking at an all time career high right now. This guy is playing amazing, and the most impressive part about that is that he's doing it without his main guy. Mike Evans is not in. If he was in, they probably would be number 1. But that brings me to number 1, Indianapolis Colts, Indiana Jones. Argue with yourself. As impressed as I am with Baker Mayfield, I am impressed and perplexed with Indiana Jones and what he's doing and how he's doing it. Colts might be representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. 5 wins right now. 5 wins right now. And they got some injuries as well. Think if they were healthy. Think about that. Think if they were healthy with Indiana Jones playing the way he has. I think he just threw an interception last week. That was the first out of this season. So just with all of that being said, that's what you're looking at. So that's your 1 through 10, ladies and gentlemen. And then we had the 11 through 20, and then 21 to 32. Take screenshots at it, look at it, dissect it, leave me a comment, tell me if you agree, you disagree, who should be where, whatever the case may be. Again, I don't take it personal because I didn't create this list. The data did, based off of all of the other analytical data that's out there. But that's what we got, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to show you the AFC and the NFC, but I'm not going to talk that much about them. I'm just going to show you that so you can screenshot that. But then I'm going to run down what the slate will look like, and then we'll get out of here. I wanted to show you this so that way you can kind of see, like, what does the NFC look like? Bucks are leading the NFC. Detroit Lions shouldn't be there. The Eagles are frauds. Seahawks are looking amazing. Rams are kind of like frauds and got injuries. The Packers are defense heavy. And Jordan Love is just starting to wake up. 49ers are injured, but they're still playing very, very well. Atlanta Falcons are doing well. They've gotten over that embarrassing loss against the Panthers. Commanders are right behind them. Bears are right behind them. And then the Cowboys. I think the Panthers are going to make some people very, very upset and sad. The Panthers are going to be on a rampage here pretty soon and make a run for it. I like what I saw out of them last couple of games. I like what I saw. Enough to bet on them and make money. Numbers don't lie. But that's the top creme de la creme of the NFC. Screenshot this for your own. But let's jump into the AFC and then we can jump into the slate. And for our AFC, All right. So we got the Colts at the top, Bills at the top. That's 5 wins, 4 wins. Steelers at 4 wins, Chiefs at 3 wins, Broncos, Chargers, Jags, Patriots with Drake May, CJ Stroud and the Texans, Bengals running in that with Flacco just coming over to give them some relief, and the struggling Ravens. I think everybody else in the AFC doesn't really matter. But that's what we got for the AFC. It's going to be tough. And even when you look at all of the rankings together, if you didn't notice, the NFC has actually better teams this year than the AFC. Because remember, I'm ranking based off of performance. I'm not the guy that only ranks them off of how many wins they have, right? That's a lazy, simple-minded person that is thinking that way. The data tells me their ability to play and whether or not they can win against the opponent on the other side. Not, oh, well, they got 5 wins or we got a ring. Like, that don't mean anything. Can they beat this team? Period. Based off of data. If the answer is yes, then the answer is yes. The answer is no, the answer is no. So that's all I got for the AFC and the NFC and the full rankings. Let's dive in and look at what the slate looks like, and we can get out of here. All right, so here's my preview. I'm gonna make my picks on a different video. I just wanted to give you a preview of what we're looking at and what I'm thinking so far for the games. And I'm gonna just run this down. You can take a screenshot. I'm not diving into each one of these games and giving you a full detail. I'm just giving you an overview. I'm thinking Steelers beat the Bengals. I think the Jags beat the Rams. I think the Chiefs beat the Raiders. I think the Browns beat the Dolphins. I think the Patriots beat the Titans. I think the Bears are going to have a tough game against the Saints. And Spencer Rattler is just that one. He's waiting on that one game. I think the Bears are going to end up beating them. They had a pretty good game, but it also was weather related against Jaden Daniels. But anyway, they won. So I think the Bears are on a roll slightly. Eagles and the Vikings game, even though the data is saying Eagles, I'm not sold on that yet. This is one of my possible upset alerts. I'm going to look at this game under the microscope and I will break it down for all of us. But I think the Vikings have a really good chance to win this game. I know they got some injuries and they're dealing with that. And I know that the Eagles win well on the road. But the Eagles don't win the offensive line battle this game. The Vikings do. And I think they have a chance to really handle this game differently than people are looking at. And I like the Vikings. Again, I'm not making my picks yet. I just think I like the Vikings for this game. I definitely like the Panthers over the Jets. I called the Panthers in the upset last week for the Cowboys because on data, on paper, they look that good. Jets are a toilet bowl. Colts versus the Chargers. If you watch my rankings video, you saw that I have the Colts as number 1 right now. Argue with yourself about it. But I like the Colts. I like Indiana Jones. I like what he's doing. And even though Justin Herbert is playing lights out, they got some serious problems on injuries with their running back. So their run game is kind of handicapped. The Colts are firing on all cylinders, man. But most importantly, man, Indiana Jones, he's getting it done on a whole nother level. How do you deny this guy? And the thing is, this might be another possible upset alert. This is another one that I'll have together for everybody for under the microscope. Giants and the Broncos, another one that's going to be under my microscope. After that performance from the Giants against the Eagles, with Jackson Dart firing on all cylinders right now, maybe I need to put this one under the microscope because at face value, you think that Broncos win and the Giants are horrible. Like you're sadly mistaken if that's your perspective. The Giants are contenders. They have a really good product. So does the Broncos, but they got to go to Mile High Stadium. Altitude is going to be a concern. Um, Commanders and the Cowboys. Ooh, can the Cowboys sustain another win back to back? I mean, the Commanders are some serious contenders, and they just got a loss as well. Mm, I don't know. Um, Packers and the Cardinals. I'm going with the Packers. There's no need to. I don't need to look into that one under a microscope because even though they were still competitive without Murray last week, I think that the Packers defense is going to be way too much. And Jordan Love is good enough and great on some days. Falcons and the 49ers. The Falcons beating the Bills. I called that as well. I called that upset. So I think I have my finger on who they are and who their identity is. The 49ers are pretty impressive considering that they have the injuries that they have and they're still figuring out how to get it done. Um, might be another upset alert. I'm gonna have to put this one under a microscope. We got a really even. This is an interesting slate this weekend. Beware, be very conservative and cautious about your bets this weekend because I'm not quite sure how it's going to all unfold. Bucks and the Lions. Woo. I love the Bucks. The cannons have been going off quite frequently. Um, without Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield is man putting a performance in a clinic on. Uh, after the Lions lost to the Chiefs, it wasn't just like a close game all the way to the very end. Like they got beat by Chiefs that didn't have Rashi Rice. I mean, it kind of opens up a conversation of is Baker Mayfield better than a Patrick Mahomes? Then, if that's an argument that you can have with yourself, but as it pertains to this game, I am not sure. The Bucks is the underdog against a Lions team that just got exposed and lost and got problems with their deep. Like the Lions have injury issues, but they have a defense issue. The Bucks don't have a defense issue; they just got an injury issue. And Mayfield has been figuring out how to get it done, even with Evans being out. That's dangerous. So, what do you think he's going to do when Evans comes back? Last year, Evans was getting one touchdown a game, pretty much. He was averaging one touchdown a game. He got a lot of catching up to do when he comes back. And if for some crazy reason he popped up right now and he's back, then I'm watching the injury reports every day until the game starts, and this is going to be interesting. Um, Texans versus the Seahawks. I would 2 weeks ago I would have told you Seahawks hands down. The Texans have been improving. CJ Stroud and the band, I like them. They're competitive. And the thing is when you look at the price for the books are paying, they also are kind of like at a standstill as well. They would price it differently if they think that it would be a blowout by the Seahawks. It's worth putting under a microscope. This will be another one that I'll put under a microscope for if it actually makes it to upset alerts. But this is what I'm thinking about for our slate. We got some weather. The Dolphins game and the Patriots and the Saints game. All three of those are possibly going to be dealing with rain. And I don't think I said the prediction for the Dolphins and the Browns. I like the Browns because of the defense. I'm not impressed with the Dolphins right now with out having Hill and then trying to figure out things and Tua, and they got some issues going on in the locker room with leadership and not responding, and the team not responding to Tua and some other things that's going on. Again, I don't get into soap opera stuff. That's just a fact. But with that being said, I like the Browns from the defense, and I think his name is Gabriel, the new quarterback. He ain't the best, but I think he's good enough, and the Browns can keep the Dolphins under 17 points, and the Browns can score 20, 21 points to win the game. It's tight, it's ugly until the end. And if the rain is there, then you can definitely cancel the Dolphins if it is raining. But this is what I got for the slate. Let me know your thoughts about who you think is going to possibly win, what games you think are going to be close. A lot of conference and division games. I have that in doing the C and the D. When you look at the C and the D's, CD stands for division, C stands for conference. So, and also when you look at the rest of the grid for those that are new to the show, if you see in the team points where it's blue and green, the blue are the ones that I would potentially take for points on any of the platforms or the books. Anything that's green for points is somebody that I would. That's a bet I would take definitely. When you look at the rankings, that's next to that next column. That's self-explanatory. Next to that column is the estimated score, self-explanatory. To the right of that is the average probability, self-explanatory. When you look in the next column, line battle, self-explanatory. Y means yes, N means no in regards to who wins the battle at the line. SKING means skilled injuries. That's how many players they have that are skilled players that are injured. And then WL percentage means win-loss ratio for home versus away. Okay, so this gives you an idea of how to properly observe this particular chart. But take a screenshot of this, make your own evaluations. Let me know what you come up with from your own research. But this is what I think. But hands down, it's going to be some interesting football. So, ladies and gentlemen and ladies, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for tuning in today. And FYI, whenever you see my ranking videos, always be prepared for a longer than normal show because it's a lot of information that we have to share with everybody. There are other shows out of there that have shorter clips or shorter content that may involve this, but this is for the people that are really interested to really look at everything and not just me post up 10 people, 10 teams' names and say, hey, here's the top 10. And I'm not telling you why. I really like the why. The why is where it all makes sense for me, right? That's where it qualifies things. I don't like to just say things and then people ask me questions later. It's like, here's what I'm saying. Here's why. Don't ask me a question. That's just how I operate. Because I just told you why. There's no need for you to talk to me and ask me any questions. But again, there's other content out there that you can enjoy if it is too long. I don't plan on changing it or condensing it just for somebody that's not a real football fan or somebody that's not a real data fan. And now we got to mess the whole show up for the people that actually take this serious to make small content because you do have ADHD and you just can't watch a show. Like you watch other stuff that's completely stupid and you enjoy that, but we're talking about something real here and you can't do 30 or 40 minutes. Hey, knock yourself out, go find another show to watch. But for what we do here and what this community is going to do and pull it apart, this is how we're going to look at it. So anyway, if you found any value in the content, please like, comment, share, or subscribe. Again, I greatly, greatly appreciate those that have come into the channel and helping it grow. And I hope you guys make some really, really good decisions, but be conservative this weekend. I am counting about 6 or 7 upsets, maybe. And stay tuned for the upset video that's going to talk about pulling those under the microscope. But check out these videos here on the content, and you guys have a great night.
Yeah, lights on, game time, let's break it all down. From the spreads to the lines, who's up, who's down. We're crunching the numbers.